Appreciate you joining me today. Hope you're having a good day. We're going to be looking at the account. We're going to back up a little bit in the Gospel of Matthew. We're going to look at the account of the Lord paying the temple tax. Our hymn today is Safe in the Arms of Jesus.
Safe in the arms of Jesus, safe on his gentle breast, there by his love o'ershaded, sweetly my soul shall rest. Heart is the voice of angels, born in a song to me. Over the fields of glory, over the jasper sea, safe in the arms of Jesus, safe on his gentle breast, there by his love o'ershaded, sweetly my soul shall rest.
Appreciate it, Lee. I'm not familiar with that hymn. Let's look at Matthew 17, verse 24. When they had come to Capernaum, those who received the temple tax came to Peter and said, "Does your teacher not pay the temple tax?" He said, "Yes." And when he'd come into the house, Jesus anticipated him, saying, "What do you think, Simon? From whom do the kings of the earth take customs or taxes? From their sons or from strangers?" Peter said to him, "From strangers." Jesus said to him, "Then the sons are free. Nevertheless, lest we offend them, go to the sea, cast in a hook, and take the fish that comes up first. And when you have opened its mouth, you will find a piece of money. Take that and give it to them for me and you." It's an interesting account, brief account. The Lord paid his taxes. Here it's the temple tax. Elsewhere, they're going to ask about the Roman tax, where he asks for the coin and it says whose inscription is on it. Give unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's. But he paid the tax. He paid their taxes, even though, and you can tell in that conversation with Peter, he says, "Who do they collect taxes from?" And Peter says, "From strangers," and he says, "Well, then the sons are free." This is the temple tax. To just bring in another account, "Do not make my father's house a house of merchandise." Whose house is it? It's his father's house. It's the house of God. Are you going to ask God to pay Are you going to ask God to pay the temple tax? You might think about that picture. But he paid the tax, and we do the same. Romans speaks about submitting to those who are in authority. Elsewhere, it talks about paying tax. I can't remember if it's Romans or if it's the Peter passage that speaks about for conscience sake. I think it's Romans now that I say that. But we pay our taxes, even though those taxes may go for things we don't approve of. We pay those taxes, and the Lord gives the reason: lest we offend them. Lest we offend them. And so that's interesting. We think about being stumbling blocks, don't we? People stumble. People stumble at Jesus. Stumbling will happen. But we should not make people stumble unnecessarily. And so that principle, lest we offend, should be taken. We need to be careful to make sure we don't cause people undue trouble. Now, the sad thing is, to look back at the account, he talks about the fish. I wonder if they ate that fish. Just curious. Take that and give it to them for me and you. And the point I wanted to make is they paid the tax. But these folks, while it does not explicitly say it here, we know elsewhere from with the Roman tax, they're going to lie about Jesus and say, "Oh, well, he said he said you don't pay the tax. He said you don't have to pay the tax." And so these people who come and they say, Does your teacher pay the tax? Are they going to be satisfied with that? When the answer is yes, he pays the tax. And he did pay the tax. Will that suddenly pacify them and they'll be peaceable with the Lord? Sadly not. But nonetheless, lest we offend them, pay the tax and do what we should do, even though perhaps, especially in this situation, when he says the sons are free, but nonetheless, pay the tax. Appreciate you. Hope you have a good day. Join us tomorrow for another portion of our daily praise.